The first clue wasn't in his perfect profile or his quiet conversation. It was in the way he said he was a taxidermist, a preserver of beautiful forms, and it was in the chilling, clinical smell of his too-clean house beneath the lemon polish. When Maya followed him down to the basement to see his collection, the fluorescent lights buzzed on to reveal not historical models, but rows of glass jars. And inside each one, floating in silent amber fluid, was the reason a woman had vanished. This is what she found in the gallery of the man called Vincent. Maya had been tired of the hollow connections, the ghosting, the endless swiping through pixelated faces that promised nothing. Vincent was different. He wrote in complete sentences, asked about the obscure novel on her shelf, and suggested a brightly lit public cafe. His profile picture was handsome in a forgettable way, brown hair, brown eyes, but it was his intensity that felt intriguing, not yet alarming. On their date, he listened with a focus that was flattering, his gaze rarely leaving her face. He was shy, she decided, a little awkward. Most people don't appreciate true artistry, he'd said over a second glass of wine, his voice soft. They see an end, not a form. I preserve the beautiful forms of nature. He'd confessed his profession then, watching for her reaction. When she didn't flinch, he seemed to relax. I have a private studio, a collection. It's in my basement. Most people think it's macabre, but you seem to have depth. You might understand. The invitation, just past 10 p.m., was a red flag she painted pink with loneliness and curiosity. One quick look, she told herself. His house was a testament to sterile order on a dark, tree-lined street. The living room looked staged, the kitchen untouched. The air was thick with lemon-scented polish, but underneath it a sweet, chemical odor lingered. Formaldehyde, she assumed. The collection is down here, he said, his voice hushed with reverence. He unlocked a solid oak door at the hall's end. The stairs were narrow, swallowed by darkness until his hand found the switch. The buzz of the fluorescent tubes was the first sound, then her own breath, catching in her throat. The basement was a hybrid of laboratory and gallery. Stainless steel tables with drains and sinister tools stood in the center. But the walls were lined with floor-to-ceiling shelves, and on the shelves were jars, large glass laboratory jars filled with a clear, slightly amber fluid. Her mind refused to process it at first. The first jar her eyes locked onto held something that looked like a fleshy, complex flower. It took her brain a horrifying second to reassemble the shapes. A human ear sliced vertically, its cartilage splayed like petals. "This is Eleanor," Vincent said, appearing beside her, his shoulder almost touching hers. His voice was warm with pride. She had the most exquisite hearing. She was a pianist. A numbness, cold and dense, seeped into Maya's bones. She took a mechanical step forward. The next jar held a graceful hand, suspended as if reaching for something it would never touch. A tiny, faded tattoo of a sparrow adorned the wrist. "Lena," he whispered, a lover's intimacy in his tone. Such delicate hands. A sculptor. Her vision tunneled, sweeping the rows. Dozens of jars. A nose, a pair of full lips forever parted. A heart, floating like a grotesque fruit in its private ocean. And at the center of the room, on a pedestal under a soft, focused light, was the most recent acquisition, a face. A young woman's face, eyes serenely closed, her auburn hair drifting in the fluid like seaweed. Maya had seen that face on a missing poster just last week. "I preserved the essence," Vincent murmured, his hand coming to rest on the small of her back. It was ice cold. The feature that made them unique, the part that first drew me in. He turned her gently to face him. His brown eyes were no longer shy. They were fathomless pools of possession. "I think I'd like your eyes, Maya. They're like shale, layers of gray and green. They see things, don't they? You see me." His grip tightened, not with violence, but with the certainty of a curator securing a new piece. The clinical, passionless calm in his voice was the most horrifying thing of all. This wasn't a crime of passion, it was a meticulous, artistic process. Paralyzing terror turned her limbs to lead, but beneath the shock, a primal animal instinct shrieked, "Agree, survive." "It's breathtaking," she forced out, the words scraping her dry throat. She held his gaze, trying to pour understanding into her own. "The preservation, it's flawless. You're an artist, Vincent." A genuine beatific smile spread across his face. "You do understand." "Could I," she swallowed, gesturing weakly toward the steel table. "Could I see the preparation area? The process must be fascinating." His guard, already lowered by her perceived appreciation, fell another crucial degree. He loved an audience, an apprentice. "Of course," he said, leading her toward the tools. As they walked, she let her purse slip from her shoulder. It hit the concrete floor with a jarring thud, the contents scattering, coins, keys, a compact mirror shattering. "Oh God, how clumsy of me!" she gasped, dropping to her knees. He knelt beside her, his movements still precise. "It's all right," he soothed, reaching for her scattered lipstick. His focus was on the floor. It was her only chance. Maya's fingers closed around the only potential weapon in the spill, a heavy metal flashlight from her emergency kit. As he looked up, his expression one of mild annoyance. She swung it with every ounce of desperate strength into the side of his knee. There was a wet, crunching sound, and a roar, not of pain, but of profound, outraged violation. He crumpled sideways, his leg bending at a nauseating angle. She didn't wait to see more. She was on her feet, sprinting for the stairs. His hand, strong and frantic, shot out and seized her ankle. She fell forward, her chin cracking against the edge of a step. White light exploded behind her eyes, but the pain was a clarion call. She kicked backward with her free foot, her heel connecting with something soft. His grip loosened with a grunt. She scrambled up the stairs on hands and knees, then on her feet, lungs burning. She heard the terrible, dragging sound of him pulling himself up the steps behind her, his breath ragged but furious. "Maya, don't spoil it, you're special!" She burst through the oak door, slammed it shut, and fumbled for a lock. There was none. Her eyes darted wildly. A heavy hall chair with a wrought iron frame. She grabbed it, jamming it under the doorknob just as his full weight slammed against the other side. The chair held, the wood groaning in protest. She didn't look back. She ran through the sterile, silent house, wrenched the front door open, and plunged into the cool, merciful darkness of the night. She didn't stop running until she was streets away, collapsing behind a dense hedge. There she vomited until her throat was raw, and with trembling, sticky fingers, dialed 911. The police found Vincent in his immaculate kitchen, calmly attempting to fashion a splint from a tea towel and a wooden spoon. They found his collection, his ledger, names, dates, and a single underlined feature for each. Maya's page was already prepared, her name written in elegant script. It read, "Eyes, shale, gray-green. Perceptive, she moved cities, she changed her name." But some prisons have no walls. The buzz of a fluorescent light switch makes her heart seize. The smell of lemon polish sends a chill down her spine. And in the deepest part of the night, in the space between waking and sleep, she is back in that buzzing, sterile light, floating in silent, cold amber, while a man with quiet hands and empty eyes walks slowly along the shelves, searching for the perfect permanent place for her.